This is Libertarian Viewpoint, and I'm your host, Sue Jeffers. Libertarianism is all about liberty. Liberty is the exercise of freedom that doesn't impinge on the rights of others. We have all heard the constant drum roll of government solutions. The purpose of this show is to allow you to see for yourself why non-government solutions are a better alternative. Today's guest is Walter Hudson. Thanks, Walter, for being here. We're going to start out with what got you involved in politics.
Sure. I was involved on the fringes for a long time. And when I say the fringes, I mean kind of the apolitical sidelines of the game where you're listening to talk radio and you're reading the paper and you're occasionally complaining about politics with your friends at a coffee shop.
And you vote every 4 years.
You vote every 4 years and you feel real satisfied with yourself. You put the sticker on, I've accomplished my civic duty for the next 4 years. I don't have to worry about politics anymore. Basically an average guy. And what stepped up my participation, I did blog a little bit on the side for a number of years, but not terribly often. It was just kind of a hobby. And what kicked up my activism, as it did with so many people, was the transition we've seen in the last couple of years. From really we've always had a mixed economy in this country, a mix between capitalism and the opposite, communitarianism, communism, however you want to phrase it. But some of these ideas that have been proposed in the past, and healthcare, I think, really got people's attention. I remember being in high school when they were talking about Hillary care, and it was just universally known to be a joke, and people laughed it off. We're never going to do this. Nationalize health care? What is this, Soviet Russia? No, we're never going to do that. But in the last couple of years, obviously, it started to come up again as a serious topic of conversation, and it was pushed and, in fact, succeeded with Obamacare. And so this has really woken a lot of people up. People are wondering what's going on with my country. And I was definitely caught up in that mix. And I remember I went to a Tea Party rally on the steps of the Capitol in St. Paul on Tax Day 2009. And two of the themes that came out of that from speakers, one was that there are a lot of folks here who had never been involved in any kind of protest or rally before. A lot of neophytes coming into the game. And the second point was, if this is all you're going to do, you might as well have stayed home. You know, if you're just going to show up and rally and make your sign and rah-rah with the pom-poms, then your time is better spent doing something else, because ultimately you're going to get attention with the rallies, but you're not going to move the ball downfield. The cheerleaders are nice, but they're not players. So we need more players in the game.
I want to ask you a question. You went to this Tea Party. Did you feel like the Republican Party and the Democrat Party let you down? Did you feel like they weren't offering you solutions and that there had to be another option? What drove you to the Tea Party?
Well, yeah, the short answer is yes. I remember, again, going back to my high school years and listening to Rush Limbaugh. This was during the Clinton era. And being as young as I was, my entire life had been... My political coming of age took place within Democratic control. And so the notion of Republicans being in control kind of had this mythological sense to it of, if we could only get them elected, then the world's problems are going to get sorted out because they're going to apply these principles to governance. And then they did get elected in '94.
And then what happened?
And nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed. And they played the same game that the Democrats played, and they had a tremendous opportunity, even worse than '94. They had a tremendous opportunity in 2004, I believe it was, when Bush got reelected, Bush 43. They had control of everything. If there was ever a time where the espoused principles were going to translate to how government conducts itself, That was it, but it didn't happen. And I think there was kind of a pre-Tea Party that took place at that time that consisted of people being dispirited, disillusioned, apathetic, disengaging. And I think a lot of that is what fueled the Democratic rise of 2006 and 2008, was just the disengagement of conservatives who had bought in to the Republican Party platform and seen that they had an opportunity to enact it and seen them completely pass it by. And so the question became, what can we do? And it's very interesting the way you phrase the question of the Republican Party letting us down, or the Democratic Party letting us down. The party is not doing their job. One of the things I've come to realize in the past couple of years as a grassroots activist is that when you talk about these parties as something separate from yourself, you're really deferring your own individual responsibility. And the thing that I'm trying to promote within the Tea Party right now is being introspective and looking at what you're doing, because the parties are only capable of being what the people who participate in them bring to the table. And so that reaction that we had after 2004 of disengaging and being disappointed and pulling back and taking our hand off the steering wheel, well, the tide that's going to steer the ship from that point forward is going to be who's left. And who's left are the power seekers and the folks who don't have principle, and the folks who are there because there's power to be had and there are ends to be achieved by seizing it. And so we can't do that. We can't allow ourselves to be disappointed to the point where we wholly disengage.
Agreed 100%. I think we're in this mess because we voted these people into office.
Right.
Whether it was 2004, whether it was 2008, whether it was 2010, it's our fault that we're in the boat that we're in right now.
And let's be clear, you voted them in regardless of whether you voted or not. Not voting is an implicit consent to the outcome. So the folks who choose to disengage are basically voting for a coin toss. They're saying, whatever happens, happens, I don't care. In which case, whatever result occurs, you bear some responsibility for that. So you're kind of cheating yourself, because there is no way to disengage really from the process, because you're going to feel the results. The only thing you could disengage from is the responsibility for driving the process.
Exactly.